them where they run out to the line of scrimmage and they had the big body, and then he was going back and forth between 75 and 94, and didn't spot him, so didn't cover him on the 4th and 2. Should have been our ball. And then on the goal line, they ran up and they hid their wide receiver right up behind the center, and then they snuck him out there, and Gift saw him and he got picked. So again, good scheme by them. Did not show them all the trickeration down there in the goal line. So when that stuff happens, the first person to blame is myself, for not showing them that exact look. But it's now how are we going to respond to those things, because you put it on tape, so now you're going to see that kind of stuff. So you can bet we're working on that stuff.
How is getting off the field on 3rd and 4th down something you guys can work on in practice? I mean, is it a thing you can work on, or is it just kind of like teachable moments, stay in your assignments?
No, 100%. Great question. If you go back, if you look at the first half, right, you coming out, and I didn't like the flipping of the field, but when we went in at halftime and looked, they had 30-something yards or whatever it was, 30-something yards rushing or 40 yards rushing or something like that. And so when you looked at it, they couldn't run the ball when we said, hey, we know you're running the ball. We're putting guys up in there. You can't run the ball. And what was happening, though, was the third downs. We weren't getting off the field on the third down. So the third down plan wasn't coordinated well enough by myself. With the rush and the back end, you saw some things where we were getting home, but the coverage wasn't in the right spot, and then vice versa. And then in the second half, what we tried to do is affect the quarterback a little bit more and go after the quarterback, and so it opened up some of those seams for those runs in there. And again, it was really the third downs and the dang goal line trickeration down there. But again, that's on me for not drilling it with those guys, so that way they knew what was coming and all that stuff. So, gotta start over again.
What do you find, Tony, that you can do in a situation like that when you have an extra 24 hours after a game, especially after one that there's probably a lot of teaching moments from?
Yeah, you're back up in here right away. You can't sleep at all, and then you come back and you say, how does this not beat you again? You know what I mean? Like you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna get schemed up a little bit here and there. So now it's like, okay, what did they see? Why did they see it? And how do we prevent stuff like that from happening again? And then you go back through your whole process and say, okay, did we work enough, goal line passes last week? Okay, well, maybe we didn't. So now you work on goal line passes even more so. You know what I mean? Third downs wasn't coordinated enough, so now it's okay, emphasis on third downs even more so. You know what I mean? So you're going back through and looking at the process and making sure that you're doing what you need to do to make sure that the guys are in those positions to make plays in the game. So
you guys take the reality that, especially in the second half of that game, that they weren't the more physical team.
Yeah. Again, that's why they went out there today and wanted to compete. That was the thing. And again, I know there's a lot to it, but I put it on myself because you're calling the game in the first half and you're telling them, hey, you guys ain't gonna run the ball, and they're not running the ball. I mean, they're not running the ball. It was really the third downs that kept the flipping the field and kept them on there and all the plays and stuff after that first drive touchdown. And then, you change it and say, hey, let me go after the quarterback a little bit more, and all those seams open up, and now you're like, okay, now you're kind of playing chess with the guy and stuff like that. So, half of that is on me, and then half of it is making sure that, again, we put those guys in those positions to go make plays, and that we got to give them the confidence to go out there and play, man. They're not going to always be 100%, but the prideful thing about that is guys play so damn hard and so damn physical that they make up for those errors. And just didn't feel like that chip on the shoulder, that edge was there like that. So
where does tackling maybe rank on the list of issues that cropped up last week?
Yeah, same deal. Again, you see coach says, tracking their hip, dominant contact. I mean, that showed up consistently, and it's guys just not cutting loose. They have a guy lined up, and they don't quite trust it, so then they start trying to cut a guy off, and then the guy cuts back on you and gains an extra 4, 5, 6 yards. You know what I mean? So just all things that you got to go back and say, are we working at enough? Are we emphasizing it enough? And are we demanding it enough? And so, we started yesterday, and with the emphasis on trying to fix those things.
He said right after the game, guys have to do their 111. Did you see guys do some uncharacteristic stuff where maybe they got a little outside of their job?
No, I think it was just, again, the execution. Like I said, the first play of the game against the same call, 1 or 2 yard gain. You know what I mean? They come back, run very similar run in overtime, and it's for 20-something yards. You know what I mean? It's just the consistency of execution. You know what I mean? And coach has laid down 3 things that he just wants this team to play with. You know, he wants to take the ball away. We want to be the most physical team, and we want to execute. I mean, and so when you don't do 2 of those things, it's going to be hard to play good defensive football, especially with what the guys are doing on offense. You know, we got the freshman QB over there balling his ass off. You know what I mean? You scored 24 points. You need to help his ass. You know what I mean? So that's on the defense. You know.
You got a sense of if Tommy can be available this weekend, but also Sire how he did in his place on Friday.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I give credit to Tommy. He's as tough as they come, because that happened. It happened, and we saw it. And you know, he tried to tape it up, tried to put a foot in sole, tried to change his shoes, whatever it was. Like, he did all these things and went out there, and you could see after the first series, like, okay, he's not right, but he didn't want to come out. And then you throw Sierra in there, and that's a great story of a guy preparing to play and getting his chance. And I thought he was probably one of the most competitive guys on the field that night, period. Like, he was up in guys' faces, he was excited. You know, the third down, they called him for a PI, and it was like, hey man, you gonna play like that? We'll take that stuff, man. You get up and challenge and compete. So it was good to see him do it. Now it's a new week, got to start that whole process over, and we'll see where Tommy is. But it's good to know, you know, some of those guys like Sierra, they're preparing to play like a starter.
Does Riley Van Poppel factor into your lineup this week, or is he still on the 4-game path?
No, I mean that's one up to coach, and then, you know, if he approaches us like that, to see where we're at with him. You know, there's some guys getting some valuable snaps. You know, that when you're on the grass, you're a starter. It doesn't matter when you go out there, you're a starter, and so they're putting it on tape. So you know, you're trying to evaluate the best combination of guys to go in there. So he hasn't said anything yet about Van Pop, but you know, if he does, then we rock out with it.
They've obviously substituted a lot up front, you know, not just this year, but for 16 games.
Mm-hmm.
Does Illinois go in tempo and some of the things that they were able to do against your front with the doubles that they were using? Do you have to look at the way that you're subbing, or how many too many, too little? Like, how do you react to the way that the sub patterns worked against their offense?
No, I think they were okay. You know, that's funny that you say about the subs, because we're looking at the comparison between last year and this year, and if we're not subbing enough guys. I mean, if guys are playing too much, you know, and you go back and look, and like last year you had, you know, linebackers wise, you had Luke and you had Nick and you had all those guys, and John. So guys were taking, you know, 30-ish reps, 35 reps, and then you go back and look now, and they're taking 40, 50, 60 reps. You know what I mean? So it's a deal where you wanna put guys in there who have trained a la Sierra, you know, who have prepared the right way and can go out there and perform. But also, you know, you wanna make sure you take snaps off of them early when you can, right? So that way, in critical moments, you got those guys as fresh as you can be. So we'll continue to look at that and stuff. But I don't think that was a problem as much on base D&D as maybe it was on third down. You know, make sure those guys are in there.
Back out there for anything practice?
No, he's out there. I mean, he's doing everything like it. But you know, we'll see if he's going to go or not. You know, that's a delicate matter right there. So it's a matter if the doc gives you a thumbs up or a thumbs down. You know.
What's the key to stopping Purdue's run offense, and how crucial will that be Saturday?
They're really good. I mean, their backs are really good. You know, and their line is really athletic, and they can move. So, you know, we gotta present different angles on them, different challenges. You know what I mean? Like, and the crazy thing is, they love the outside zones and stuff. But he's athletic enough to if you give him the edge, he'll take it around the edge and gain 40. But also, you know, he has really good vision where he sees a crease and he'll plant a foot in the ground and he'll cut it back against you. So it's gonna be a challenge for us to make sure that we have edges set when we want those set, and then to run the ball down when he's going sideways.
Yeah, Tony, in past weeks you've said on Tuesday it's a hard reset. We don't worry about last week. After what you saw on Friday, how much of it is that? How much of it is making sure these guys are thinking of that as they prep?
Yeah, that's another great question right there. That's you know, it's just human nature to feel some kind of way, you know, when you play like that. But coach, again, you're always around coaching. You always, if you're truly listening, you always getting the wisdoms. You're listening to it like a player, and it truly is like, hey man, we're trying to go 1-0. And you have a point of emphasis to fix and improve, and all you do is focus on that, and make sure that you bring the kind of energy that you want the players to have, moving forward towards Purdue. I mean, again, this is a new challenge. Everything is there, and the guys went out there and practiced their tail off today. So we're just gonna go 1-0 and just gonna go compete.
That corner blitz with Sierra, how risky of a call is that, Tony? And how do you know when to let that thing go?
That's normal. That like sometimes that's an automated response by either like a formation or like a down and distance and stuff. And so, he saw it and he was aggressive. You know what I mean? And the crazy thing is like it was an RPO, so he pulled it back, and you could see Sierra trigger, and he kind of looked, and then he kept on going. Where some guys might trigger and then stop and say pass and drop. He just kept going, and so it was a big time play. It was fun to watch him do that.
Anything else for Tom?
One more. Did you guys blitz more? I mean, however you would determine that, if it's sending more than 4. Did you how did that look from your perspective as far as the amount of frequency that you were dialing that up against in that game?
Yeah, I mean, you knew they were going to run the ball. So again, the first plan is to go out there and make sure they knew that they can't run the ball on you. And so when at the spots we felt like, hey, they're running the ball, we were mixing up the looks and bringing extra guys and stuff. And again, they got whatever it was, 40 yards at the half or something like that. And then just went away from that to try to affect the quarterback a little bit more and get in the rhythm for third downs a little bit more. And like I said, a couple of those runs slice up in there, and then had some MAs and all that stuff. So definitely, started mixing it up a little bit more. Thank you, guys.